Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Switched On. I'm your host, Ben Lamoureux, and I'm joined once again by two returning guests. Welcome back, Mark.
Hey there.
And welcome back, Will.
Thus ends the Alex Plant streak.
Yeah, yeah, you guys were getting spoiled with 2 out of the 3 original Nintendo Week cast for a long time there, but Alex decided to take a break and let someone else on this week. So we got a pretty packed show this time around because Nintendo finally came through with that Direct that we've all been so impatiently waiting for.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, everyone thought it was coming in January, so like that month wait has just been driving the Nintendo fan base insane. So we will be focusing on breaking down the Direct for our big discussion segment a little later in the episode. But first, as usual, we're going to dive into all the just sort of general Nintendo news from the past week. You guys ready?
Yep.
Alright, so we actually had quite a bit of Smash Bros. News recently. You may remember that after the version 2.0 update went out for Smash, adding in Piranha Plant, some people began to notice some really problematic bugs where like the game was crashing and erasing save data or corrupting save data, and Nintendo basically said that they have not been able to confirm that this bug exists. They can't really identify it, they don't know what's going on, and some fans think that they've actually cracked the case. So a little more digging shows that it might not actually be the game or the update specifically, but the fact that it's not playing nice with a specific kind of memory card. So basically some people on Reddit noticed that they were all having the corruption glitch, and they all had the Samsung 256GB microSD XC Evo Select memory card. It's a long title, but yeah, if you have a Samsung graphics card or a memory card, you might want to look into that and maybe not use that.
There's something really not ironic but kind of symbolic of a Venus flytrap bringing bugs into a game.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I'll admit that I've got Smash on a micro USB. And I haven't really looked in on what brand I have, kind of because I'm afraid. So if I don't know, it won't hurt me.
Yeah,
it's like Schrodinger's cat.
I haven't been brave enough to try those modes yet, just to be safe. I would hope those with cloud saves would be okay, but I'm not totally sure how that all works still. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think I have a SanDisk card, so if it is that specific thing, then I should be okay. But I also have not tried the, is it All-Star mode as Piranha Plant? I don't think I've tried that yet. So.
It's All-Star and then Legacy Smash, I think.
I think it was Century for
Century, yeah.
Was affecting the Mii Sword Fighter. And then I've also heard someone had their game crash while they were playing, I think, All-Stars Pikachu. So that's when people began to suspect that maybe it was more about the memory card than the actual update.
I heard Duck Hunt.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, actually, yeah, that was one too. I think the Pikachu one was in this Reddit thread, though, where the people were comparing cards, so...
Okay. I heard a theory saying that, these characters were causing crashes because, Sakurai and the development team were using their models for DLC characters. But that's just rampant speculation on random YouTubers' parts.
Yeah, that seems a little out there to me.
And we're not allowed to listen to YouTubers anymore after the Grinch nonsense.
Sigh.
Yeah. So hopefully whatever's causing this can get, taken care of soon. I saw some people speculating that maybe it was counterfeit cards, but there were a couple people who posted videos of themselves, doing the card verification process, so that does not appear to be the case.
A counterfeit USB card? It's a niche, not even a niche market. That's how do you counterfeit something that's, widely produced?
Yeah, I guess they just, the seller will name them something that looks official and then sell actually, lower quality or memory cards that hold less, and they'll just, repackage them and sell them as this, brand-named card.
Oh, like a Samsung.
Yeah. So, some more Smash news. Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of Smash Bros., we recently learned that he was actually offered a rather large contract to go work for Oculus VR and create Oculus Rift games. And he would have been given essentially total creative control to just sort of do whatever he wanted with it. But he actually turned it down in favor of sticking around to finish up the Smash Bros. DLC for Wii U, because I believe this was in 2015. And then, of course, to move on to making Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Well, I'm thankful for that, because Smash Bros. Is amazing, and I think that he is basically 99% of that. Well, I don't want to downplay everyone else's efforts, but he's a big part in Smash Brothers, so him leaving for something else would have really affected the series.
Yeah, it's really hard to imagine the series without him. I know he said, like, with this entry in particular, he's kind of scaled back his hours a little bit, and he has more people working on things like balancing and that sort of thing, but he's still very much the guy at the top, and he's still putting in probably more hours than anybody else, and he has the creative vision. At the same time, I'd be curious to see what sort of vision he could come up with for a virtual reality game. But my understanding is that he basically opted out of it because he knew that Oculus, could only reach a relatively small audience compared to other platforms, and he just really believes in making games that will attract, and make as many customers as possible happy, basically.
Maybe Nintendo just doesn't like the Oculus because it reminds them of the Virtual Boy. Triggered!
I mean, that is one of the merits of Smash, absolutely, that it appeals to so many wide audiences, especially for a fighting game, because it's also just a good couch party game at the same time.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it kind of crosses genres, and obviously it's a very big crossover game between, these 70-plus iconic characters, some of them, from non-Nintendo franchises even. So, he's talked for years about retiring or moving on to something else potentially, but Smash is his baby, and it's hard to move on from your baby.
Yeah. I'm sure whatever he would have made for Oculus would have been great, but yeah, again, the last thing we need is something else for him to overwork himself on.
Yeah, no kidding. So our last Smash story has to do with a little bit of a controversy. So Smash Bros. Occasionally will have some lag when you play online. I don't know about you guys. I haven't had too much trouble with it, but I've mostly been playing against people on my friends list in the States, and every now and then I'll run into some lag. So there was lag during the recent Super Smash Bros. Ultimate North America Open. And Nintendo, of course, was doing a live stream event where, they were broadcasting all these matches, and then they had commentators in between the matches talking. And at one point, the match began to lag pretty badly, and the feed just cut away from it to a panel of Nintendo commentators who said that the lag was basically just a problem with the stream, that it wasn't actually the game, and that the players weren't experiencing the lag. And they said, we're going to upload this as a video on demand later, and you're going to be able to watch it, and you'll see there's no lag. But then the video on demand came out, and lo and behold, there was a lot of lag. So, I don't know if this was intentional by the people giving commentary, or if they were under the impression that it actually was just an issue with the streaming software.
I'm going to hazard a guess and say that was some last-second PR, some last-second
damage control.
Yeah, damage control, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, I mean, I haven't played too much Switch online yet, because I just got Switch Online, but Wii U Online wasn't great with Smash Brothers. And so, hardware-wise, I've got a feeling that it's Smash Brothers' fault and not the stream.
Yeah, particularly just, when it still showed up in the video on demand, it's like, well, I'm not quite sure how you explain that otherwise. And, at least one of the players in the match said that, oh yeah, I experienced a lot of lag. And he said, I didn't experience any in round 1 or 2 of that fight, but specifically in round 3, which is when the camera cut away, he said I experienced a lot of lag during that match. So, I'd like to believe that they weren't being intentionally misleading, but it very much looks like they did mislead people, whether it was intentionally or not.
Yeah, it seems like they still just don't know how to market Nintendo Switch Online. I found it very awkward, in a previous Direct when they were unveiling it, because they talked about, now you can play with all your friends online, except we could already do that for free, so you might want to rephrase that somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm no expert in this field, but you got to get Smashes online right in particular if you're going to live stream a tournament like that, because that's a game that has this huge reach like we were talking about. So you want that to be a shining example of why Switch Online is worth it.
I will say I've had a lot better luck with Smash Ultimate Online than I have with, say, Brawl or Smash 4, but I think it does largely depend on mutual connections due to, as I understand it, a lack of dedicated servers. So, and Smash is just I think it's a very demanding game in particular, because I haven't, with Splatoon, for example, or Splatoon 2 on the Switch, I've had generally really good connections, wired or wireless. But so I think it depends on the game in a lot of ways. But I would hope now that Nintendo has some extra revenue from Switch Online, they would actually fund some servers.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
I can pray.
Alright, so moving on to some more general Switch news. Here's a really nice update for Switch. Developers can finally actually give their games a normal voice chat now. So, Fortnite launched recently on Switch a few months back, and it was able to use voice chat without the whole Nintendo app where you got to hook up like a headset to your phone or something like that, which kind of just defeats the whole purpose. So that same software that's running in Fortnite has now been licensed out to all licensed Nintendo developers. So if you have permission to make Switch games, you now have permissions to use this Vivek software to put voice chat in your games.
I do like this. I think it's a very good thing. Not to sound controversial, but we have Discord now, so do we need this anymore?
That's pretty much the Nintendo Switch Online app in a nutshell, I would argue, unfortunately. I gave it a fair chance for Splatoon 2 back when the app initially came out for that, but compared to, say, PS4 voice chat, which I'll very occasionally use, it is just not intuitive or convenient to set up, and I wish Nintendo would just take the hint on that one.
Yeah, so, Nintendo in the past has said that they're worried about, young gamers, for example, with voice chat, which, just, have a turn it off option.
I'm worried about young gamers with voice chat, too.
Yeah, right?
I don't want to be talking to no Fortnite 14-year-old.
So I wouldn't expect Nintendo to incorporate this into many, if any, first-party games, but I think it's really good that, developers don't have to take out a key element now when they port games to Switch. Because, for a lot of people, that can be a deal-breaker if it's a team-based game and there's no voice chat, So.
Yeah, and I'm not an expert on app development, but I wonder if maybe they could add native voice chat for first party and then just add some sort of off switch in their parental controls app.
Yeah, I think that would be nice too. But
yeah,
we'll see. Maybe this will open the door to something more. Maybe it won't. But for now, it's at least open to third-party developers,
which is nice.
So some more positive Switch news. Nintendo, as they said a while back, they're not planning any price cuts for Switch. They're going to keep it at the $300 price point. But starting tomorrow as we record this, so by the time this is published, it should already be a thing. Nintendo is bundling Switches with $35 eShop cards in North America. So, you can put that towards, that's about, half of the cost of a big AAA game like Zelda or Mario. Or, with that money, you could go pick up 3 really good indie games. So I think this is a really neat move just because there's so many awesome, $10 to $15 games on eShop. And this is just, hopefully going to be a good way to support them and give people a little extra value without, outright cutting the price of the console.
That is such a weird decision, though. Just instead of cutting the cost, you give them money after they give you money.
Yeah, but it's money that you can only spend in their ecosystem.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So, maybe you get hooked on, the game you buy, and then you want to buy its sequel, or you want to buy some other game in the same genre. So, yeah, it's a way to hopefully get you to reinvest more in their software.
It's like when you go to a casino and they give you some free tokens.
Yeah, pretty much. They're hoping you get hooked on them indies.
Yeah. I'll take that over actual microtransactions, but hopefully on this podcast that's not a rabbit hole we have to go down for a little while. I hope.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Here's hoping.
Nintendo microtransactions. The sad thing is I would do them all. Oh, no.
It's a miracle, honestly, that they haven't, just made Animal Crossing into a total gacha experience.
I know.
Alright, so the last story for our just general Switch news section is that Nintendo President Furukawa told investors that he believes part of the reason that Switch failed to reach its hardware sales goal last year, or still technically this fiscal year, is because Nintendo hasn't properly conveyed the value of either the hardware or the software. So essentially, he kind of put the loss or the fact that they came up short. He's sort of putting it on the marketing. What do you guys think about that?
I think he has a point. I think that marketing-wise, Switch isn't thought of as a portable console enough, so it doesn't have the more casual market or the people who just want portable consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And like I remember back in the day when the Wii U first came out, like most people didn't realize it was an actual system, like a new system. They thought it was like an expansion pack for the Wii.
Even a lot of retailers had like incorrectly listed it as like an attachment to the Wii.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which that's super a problem.
I think that Nintendo could benefit from a portable only Switch. I don't think they necessarily need that. I just think that they really need to emphasize that the Switch is a console and a handheld instead of a console that can become a handheld in certain moments of the day.
I guess my big concern as far as that article went was what might be a growing disconnect between what satisfies the consumer and what satisfies the investors, as we saw with Activision and those layoffs this week, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think Nintendo's done a particularly poor job of marketing. I think a lot of the Switch commercials have been pretty good. But I did notice that after that investor meeting, they put out some commercials. Or actually, I don't know if it was after the investor meeting, but it was after the turn of the year. It was in January, maybe. They put out a series of commercials that were like, play Switch your way. And it emphasized, really big the fact that it can be a handheld or a home console. Like one of them started with a guy playing Switch, in a taxi on his way home. And then he gets home, sets it in the dock, and friends come over, and they're all playing it together in the living room. So I think, continuing to do commercials like that is good. And like you said, they can do more to emphasize the portable element. But really, I think they just missed their hardware goal because A, they had like no games the first half of the year, and then B, not everyone can afford $300 yet. Which, like you said, Mark, if they do a portable only Switch, then eventually, they can have a cheaper option for those people that are still buying like 3DS but not Switch yet.
Do you think the 3DS also undercut sales?
Not so much anymore. 3DS, like the last 2 years, like in 2016 and 2017, it still sold like enough. But in 2018, it sold basically nothing. They're still selling decent amounts of software just from like the remakes and ports and stuff that they're doing. But I think they sold like less than 3 million 3DS units all year. So
I do wonder if they'll finally go with a Switch price drop around the same time that they do finally decide to officially retire 3DS, whenever that does happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's possible. Like, that's a big reason they always give whenever, people ask, like, whenever investors ask, how do you balance the 3DS and Switch market? They say, well, 3DS is cheaper and it's portable, and so there's still, like, parents buying it for their kids. So, yeah, hopefully if you're going to actually axe the 3DS brand, it's because you have a cheap Switch ready to go, because otherwise it's like, okay, you've just acknowledged that there's this huge portion of your fan base that needs a cheap console, so you have to provide it to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I don't think Switch's marketing is anywhere near the biggest reason that undersold expectations last year. I think the marketing's been pretty solid. There's always room for improvement, but really, I think it's just because they released like nothing from like February to August. So,
rough.
All right, so moving on, we got some Pokemon news this week too. The first thing is that Pokemon Go is getting a new snapshot feature. So it's sort of an expanded version of the AR Plus feature, and it'll let you take pictures of your Pokemon, but unlike before where you could only do it like when you encounter them in the wild, this will let you go to any Pokemon that you've caught and stored, and then you can just, put them in various backgrounds and, edit the pictures and whatnot. So you can basically take pictures at your leisure instead of being really restricted in your ability to do so.
So my first thought was, I'm mad that it's not a full-blown Pokemon Snap sequel, but I'll get over it someday. It does remind me somewhat of the grooming minigames we've seen in recent main series Pokemon games, and in Let's Go to a lesser extent. So that could be perhaps their way of trying to bridge the gap between player bases as well.
Yeah. And it's just always nice to see them to continue release, free features to this game, which, you have to do that. You have to make it a game as a service, when it's a mobile game. But it's good to see it getting continued support and a feature that, I think a lot of people will enjoy. You can get really attached to your Pokemon babies after a while when you go out and catch them. So the fact that you can now much more easily take pictures of them instead of just like, oh, there's a wild Charmander over there, I gotta sprint over and switch to the camera app and get a picture quick before it runs away.
It's gonna be so cute. This is gonna be so cute. I can't wait to see all the pictures people take. Like, I don't want to sound like some like person with optimism, but like this is gonna be cute.
Yeah, for sure.
Optimism. Eh.
So moving on to Pokemon Let's Go, the Switch game. If you haven't picked this up yet, now is a great time to see if it's for you, because there is a free demo on the eShop for both the Pikachu and Eevee versions. So, for those who don't know much about the games yet, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but it's basically an HD remake of the original like Red, Blue, Yellow series, but with some elements from Pokemon Go incorporated. And now you can go try it out for free.
I think I might have to check it out, because my nieces are getting more and more into video games, and I think that Pokemon Let's Go would be a good entry-level way into the Pokemon series.
Yeah.
I tried to show my niece Annie Pokemon Fire Red, but she didn't really understand the concept of, like, going from village to village. No, not village, but, like, town to town. She always called them a village, and she always wanted to go back to Pallet Town, because she wanted to ask the character's mom if she could go to the next town, because she always had to ask permission from her parents.
Okay.
A similar thing happened to my sister recently, and the kids she babysits, because she wanted to go back to Pallet Town from Cerulean City. But as veteran fans will know, that becomes a little difficult past Mount Moon until you get Cut, or the Let's Go equivalent in this case.
Oh yeah. That's where Annie stopped, was actually Viridian Forest, because she wanted to go back to Pallet Town, but it was too much of a chore, so she was like, alright, I'm done. She got her Pikachu. She found a way to win. She made her own rules.
Yeah, so you said, it's a good entry point, especially since it's, a remake of the original games. But it's also got, like, the sort of two-player mode where you can just shake a Joy-Con and jump in with them. So it's great if you have, younger, siblings or kids or nieces, nephews, that sort of thing, where you can just play right alongside with them and answer questions, as they're going. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely check out the demo. I'm actually surprised you didn't own the game yet, Mark, but the demo just drops you in Viridian Forest with a full team of 6 and just kind of, lets you mess around, try them out, try running into Pokemon on the overworld, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, that'll be cute. 100% of my budget has been spent on Kingdom Hearts, though, so...
That's fair.
I'm looking for something free.
Alright, and then we have just a few more miscellaneous stories that didn't really fit into any of our other categories, so we'll just run through those quick. The first one is that Miyamoto recently told Nintendo investors that he believes Nintendo employs more women than most Western developers. And so this was said basically in response to a shareholder asking, does Nintendo employ many women? Do they employ many in like positions of power or in, hardware development, that sort of thing? And so he said, particularly in their software development teams, that when he visited developers in the United States and Europe, he was surprised by how few women he saw. And so he said that, Nintendo has room to grow in terms of making their hardware departments more friendly towards female developers, but that he thinks they're doing a pretty good job when it comes to software.
Well, I can safely say they probably employ more women in Activision at this point. Womp womp.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. They still have a lot of people, just unfortunately, in job security might not be so great.
Yeah. Hashtag unionize.
Please. But yeah. I liked the article, but it was frustrating to read, because immediately after that the internet goes, wow, Miyamoto's an SJW because he answered a question that he was specifically asked. Boo.
Right. Yeah, internet comments are always going to leave you a little disappointed in humanity.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Alright, so the next story is that, it's pretty much the worst kept secret in the video game industry. The Spyro Reignited trilogy just leaked for Switch again for, the third or fourth time now. So this time I think it was GameStop Germany put a listing for it. And, it was previously leaked by, the actual Spyro UK website. Nintendo briefly took pre-orders for something called Spyro Remastered Trilogy, and then they, pulled the pre-order page. And that was, 6 months ago. So it still hasn't been officially announced, but we have repeatedly seen retailers be like, yo, we're totally going to sell Spyro on Switch. Wait, never mind. We didn't say that.
It gets to a point where a leak just becomes a turned-on faucet. It's like, after 4 leaks, I think that maybe you guys could do some damage control and actually announce it.
Right. So my only thought is maybe it's like a timed exclusive thing, but it's already on Xbox too, isn't it? It's on like everything except Switch.
Yeah, like I don't understand why it wasn't like launched with the other ones. It's not like it's a hard game. It's not like
Maybe
it's got,
if it
massive
has some
hardware.
exclusive content, and that's why they're waiting for this official announcement. Because if you announce like if a game comes out and then you're like, oh, by the way, Switch is getting a better version, and you announce that at the same time, then it's going to potentially hurt the sales of the first version. But we haven't really heard any rumblings about exclusive content, so hard to say.
Maybe tech issues as well, because I don't know, because Crash Team Racing, for example, was confirmed for Switch as well right off the bat, so Spyro is really the only odd one out here.
Yeah, it's very strange.
I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat here, and they're going to save the announcement for when Spyro is put in Smash Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, you might need several tinfoil hats for that one.
Yeah. Spyro and then
I wouldn't hold
Goku and
my
then
breath.
me. I'm going to be in Smash.
Yeah, I'll probably get it if it does come to Switch, because, I mean, on the one hand, as we've established, Activision, but also there's something to be said for supporting a AAA game that's absent of most of that microtransaction and ridiculous monetization stuff.
Sure.
This is a family podcast.
That's okay. I have a Waluigi sound effect for that.
Hashtag no ethical consumption under capitalism.
T.
Yeah, so I think I'm definitely more likely to pick up that trilogy than, like, say, the Crash trilogy. I just think the more open gameplay is a lot more suited to me. So if I was going to get one of the three one of the two, like, PlayStation remastered trilogies, it'd be Spyro.
Yeah.
So just go ahead and announce it already.
Yeah, it's a series
We've waited long enough.
I played a little bit of that with a friend on his old PS1, but it's definitely a series I wish I had more access to back in the day.
Alright, so next up, we kind of got a surprise announcement today, a little bit after the Nintendo Direct. Hollow Knight is getting a sequel, and it's coming to Switch and PC, maybe other platforms later, but definitely just those two at launch. That's what their Team Cherry is focusing on. So it sounds like it's been in development for about 2 years, and it sort of started as like plans for DLC, and then their ambitions just got bigger and bigger and bigger until they were like, okay, I guess this is a game now.
Much like Uncharted The Lost Legacy, but knowing how big Hollow Knight is, I'm sure on a even bigger scale from that.
Yeah. And what's really cool about this is if you backed the original Hollow Knight Kickstarter, they're giving you the sequel for free.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like anyone who did it at the like $10 or above mark, which I assume is, what would get you Hollow Knight for free. Yeah, they're giving away the sequel as well, so that's pretty cool. And it's also nice to see Nintendo must have, made a pretty good effort to get this to Switch early before PlayStation or Xbox, because, the original Hollow Knight came to Switch quite a bit after its original launch. So, but I think, Nintendo must be happy with its performance for them to reach out and make sure that they get a sort of timed exclusive on the sequel.
Maybe it'll be like a Bayonetta situation where they just make it an exclusive.
Well, I wouldn't expect that just because, like I said, they've already floated the possibility of other versions later. It sounds more like right now it's like a resource thing, like they could only do 2 platforms. And so they prioritized PC and Switch.
Which would make sense.
Which, for an indie title makes a lot of sense.
Exactly, yeah. I played like maybe 10 hours of it in the beginning, off and on, and then recommended it to my roommate, who he put way more time into it than I did right off the bat, but I caught up to him. But yeah, he'll probably be a little bummed it's not confirmed for PS4 yet. But I'm sure it will be later down the line.
Yeah, maybe just like six months to a year later or something.
Maybe. I feel like the wait between the Switch port of Hollow Knight and the other consoles wasn't too bad, so hopefully not that long.
Yeah, for sure. So our final story, and I'm pretty sure Mark's a little fired up about this one. There's a report going around that Nintendo was actually really planning to bring Mother 3 to the West back in 2016. They put a Wii U eShop version of it out in Japan, and apparently they were looking really hard into localizing it and launching it in Europe and North America. And then they really went over the content of the game, and they just decided to pull the plug permanently, essentially.
It's sad how few risks Nintendo takes with, like, storytelling.
Mm.
Like, obviously they take risks with hardware. You saw the Wii, you saw the Wii U, you saw the Virtual Boy. But, like, oftentimes, like, I talked about this back when we talked about games that needed the reboot a few podcasts back with the Paper Mario part, where like Nintendo just they play it so safe with storytelling, and Mother 3 was like revolutionary for Nintendo because it was dark and it had like a lot of themes that Nintendo games never really touched on. Yeah, and naturally, when I say Nintendo, I mostly mean like Mario and Zelda. I know that Fire Emblem and a lot of other like second party titles can get a little bit up at arms, but like it kind of just weirds me out how I know that the company has potential to do these things, but they always play it so Disney. It's like, I know that in Super Mario Odyssey, there was originally a plan to have Mario and Peach get married at the end, but they didn't do it because that means that they would move the story forward, they would have a new jumping off point, they wouldn't be able to set everything back to zero. And it's just...
Unless they pull a Metroid and Ridley comes in and just like knocks the wedding cake over and then they lose all their power-ups.
Or like an Austin Powers where Peach turns out to be a fembot in the next game and gets replaced.
Wow. The old Austin Powers reference.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, baby.
I also love your phrasing of putting it back to zero, because that's literally what they did with Star Fox Zero.
Yeah, they've remade that game like 4 times. There was like Star Fox, and then Star Fox 64, and then the DS one, and then Zero. It's like, how many Star Fox games are there if you don't count remakes? 2?
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I might be the only person on staff who liked Zero for the most part, but we can save that discussion for an unpopular opinion episode or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so, there's some stuff in Mother 3 that's, like you said, not typically what you would expect from a Nintendo game, but I don't know. I don't know if it's all that bad that they couldn't re-release it today, I'm not sure what exactly the fear is. They might have to give it like a higher rating than it originally got. I'm not sure, what rating it would be given today. But yeah, I've been waiting for an official re-release for a long, long time, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. There's a good fan translation, but I'd prefer to actually, support Nintendo financially if I could, but they're just not really giving that option.
Yeah, I don't support emulation, but if you want to play Mother 3, all you have to do is use Google.
Yeah, well, less and less with the ROM sites getting taken down. They're making it impossible to play Mother 3.
Well, to quote Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park, life finds a way.
This is true. Alright, so obviously our biggest topic is a multifaceted topic. It's the Nintendo Direct. So we got 35 minutes just jam-packed with announcements. So before we dig into all of the new announcements, why don't we just go over some quick impressions. How did you two feel about the Direct overall?
I need to learn how to temper my expectations. Because, like, every time I go into Nintendo Directs, I'm like, oh, it's going to be the best Direct ever. They're going to announce, like, 18 things. Super Princess Peach 2. There's going to be, like, 8 new Smash characters. And it's like, I'm 26 years old. I shouldn't go into these like I'm a 6-year-old boy with wide eyes.
You need to stop believing the Twitter hype.
I know.
So are you saying you were a little let down by it, or? I'm
always let down because I always think so highly of these. But all in all, I think there were enough announcements that appealed to me that I would give this a thumbs up.
Yeah, same. I was pretty impressed by it, which it feels interesting to say because basically nothing on my short wish list made the cut, such as, say, Metroid Prime Trilogy. Was secretly hoping that they'd release Resident Evil 4 right now, but dream on.
Yeah, I was hoping for that too.
And then as I watched it and saw some of the indie stuff, I found myself thinking maybe we'll see like a surprise Celeste announcement for that upcoming DLC, since the Switch version in particular did so well. But that's okay. Mm-hmm. Willing to wait. So I think it speaks to the variety of content that we saw that I was still overall pleased with that Direct. Like, certainly not everything on the list appealed to me personally, but it definitely makes me optimistic to see just how much content the Switch is continuing to get for different varieties of fans.
Yeah, that was kind of my takeaway too. There was a lot of announcements I was expecting that I didn't get, but they also had so many announcements that I wasn't suspecting that, like, overall I was like, wow, I came away like not knowing that I wanted a bunch of those
Yeah.
things, but I definitely do.
Yeah.
Like Disney, Tsum Tsum, am I right?
Yeah, so that is specifically not on the outline I wrote.
Sorry, guys. But,
Oh
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just jump into like the first thing that was announced, and we don't have to go through these point by point, but we'll just jump around as we think of stuff. But it all kicked off with Super Mario Maker 2, which looks really good because it has slopes.
Yeah. And it might have more than one playable character, possibly.
Yeah, people have been like analyzing the artwork, I think. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, because Luigi's on the cover, and Toad and Toadette are on the like full artwork for the cover, and people think that I think someone data mined Peach artwork from the website.
Because of course.
Yeah, of course. So if Peach is playable, I'm getting this game because I'm petty.
Yeah. And some people have speculated maybe there will be a local co-op angle because of Luigi being on the cover, which I'm not sure how that would work for some of the extra Screaming Metal Death Trap type stages, but who knows.
All those auto-scrolling ones with 4 playable characters. Bad.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like more Super Mario Maker, but honestly, I'm really excited for that just because it had such a limited audience on Wii U, and you couldn't really share your levels on 3DS. So I think this game's gonna explode in a way it couldn't on those 2 previous platforms. And they've added in just a lot of like simple quality of life changes. Like, the UI is a little different. It looks like it's going to be easier to kind of get to the tiles that you want quicker without going through, too many menus. And there's, the new graphic style to work with. You can build levels in the 3D world style, but there's still, 2D side scroller. Yeah, try that again. There's still 2D side scrollers, but with 3D models and everything just looks really nice and high definition. I saw a little bit of Game Explain talking about that in one of their videos, and they were like, "Is anyone going to use the new Super Mario Bros. Style anymore now that the 3D world style exists?" And my thought was probably not.
Yeah, good question.
But yeah, it's just I've had that creative itch for a while, but to make some more Mario Maker levels. But I sold my Wii U, quite a while ago to make a down payment on the Switch. So this will just really be nice to have that experience again. It's a really cool creative outlet to just think like, what can I do with all of these hundreds of tiles they've given me? What unique challenges can I come up with?
It was cool to see, just because of that angle, how popular it was on YouTube in spite of being, well, a Wii U game.
Sure.
Combined with that and the Switch being way more successful, I think we're going to see some really cool stuff.
Yeah. I am surprised they didn't add Mario 64 art style, but then again, I don't really want to see like 64-bit stuff on a Switch.
Yeah, and there could be more art styles too that we haven't seen. They only showed off the one new one, but I think, if I remember right, with the original Mario Maker, it took a few trailers before we had seen all the different art styles it had to offer. So.
Oh yeah, they saved Mario 3 for a few trailers down, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully there's still more surprises. It launches in June, which that's interesting to me for a couple reasons. For one, it's sooner than I thought, so it won't be that long till we get to see it. But they still have a few months left to ramp up the hype and hopefully reveal new things. But also historically, Nintendo doesn't really release games in June and July, first party games anyway. So that tells me that the lineup of first-party games this year is rich enough that they kind of feel like they have to launch some stuff during the summer because there's just no other good windows to plug it into. So I think that'll be a really cool, fun summer title to play, especially since Nintendo's summer offerings are usually non-existent.
Yeah, it's weird.
And, we still have E3 coming up, so there's probably more games still that we don't know about to flesh out the fall and winter lineup. So hopefully that means we will continue to have monthly first-party releases or better on Switch throughout 2019.
So next up on our list is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which I am super excited about because I'm a big Marvel fan.
Mm-hmm.
And my little brother and I used to play Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 all the time, and now the third one's coming out, and he is disappointed because he doesn't have a Switch, but I do. So take that, other Ben, because my little brother's Ben and it's confusing. I'm super excited about this because it's going to be kind of an original story, even if it's based on Infinity War, but it's going to have like a lot of the X-Men, which is surprising because Marvel doesn't like the X-Men anymore because they didn't own the license to them for the longest time for the movies.
Right.
But now that Fox is owned by Disney, apparently they now own the X-Men again. So they're gonna.
But it's like they've built up their own separate universes so much that at this point it'd be hard to merge them in the cinematic universe. But you can do it a lot more smoothly in the game universe.
Yeah. Also, though, I think they should just kill off the X-Men universe because it's not been doing well.
Yeah.
Not to sound controversial, but it's bad.
Yeah, my older brother actually is like the biggest Marvel fan I know, and I know he played the other two Ultimate Alliance games. So I'm not totally sold on it yet. I don't really buy a lot of superhero games, but it looks cool. Pretty big roster, lots of cool attacks and stuff. So I'll keep my eye on it.
Yeah, and the online multiplayer won't hurt either.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, for sure. As long as it doesn't lag. So one of the announcements I was super excited about is Captain Toad. If you guys have been listening to the podcast for a while, I'm a big Captain Toad stan. So it's getting, actually it already got a free update, which allows for like 2-player play, and it's also getting paid DLC, and if you pre-order it, you can play the first level now. So I downloaded that demo earlier today and played around, and I mean it's more Captain Toad. It's about what you expect, but it's a wonderfully charming game. And I think adding 2-player to it is a really cool idea, and I hope that adding 2-player to it is a sort of way to test the waters for, a sequel that sort of revolves around that as a gameplay mechanic.
I'll admit that I didn't play Captain Toad. I played his levels.
Heathen.
I played his levels in a 3D world, and they're pretty fun though.
Yeah.
It's just Captain Toad's been like on the back of my mind this entire time. Like it's been kind of like low on my list of games I'm gonna get. And it keeps on getting pushed back by other games.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, but I have the same problem where it's like, oh, there's so many Switch games I want to play.
That's what happened to me, plus I do already have it on Wii U, so there wasn't as much motivation, but I think this has convinced me to finally grab the Switch version for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be getting new levels and new challenges and stuff, so it seems like it's going to be quite a bit of new content for a pretty reasonable price point. And like I said, if you pre-order, you can try out the one level right away. So
it was just such a good game, and I'm happy to see more content.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of DLC, we got an update on Joker. So he'll be coming to Smash before the end of April, and we got sort of our first look at the character model, although we didn't, get to see all of it exactly. It was kind of in shadows.
We got to see his back. Ooh.
So before the end of April, it's coming as part of a big 3.0 update, but they have told us absolutely nothing about that update outside of Joker, so we have to wait a little longer to find out what else is coming to Smash.
I wanted so much more. I wanted them to, say every DLC character. I knew they wouldn't, but I wanted it.
Maybe E3, but...
Maybe E3. Maybe that's when we're going to get, the big guns, the banjo.
Yeah, I kind of expected was it Dragon Quest? Is it Erdrick? Is that the character's name? There's been a lot of rumors
Erdrick
about him.
from Dragon Quest 3.
Yeah, so I was kind of expecting maybe we'd get an actual Joker trailer showing some gameplay, and then the Erdrick tease, but no, we just got the Joker tease, and that was about it, so...
Yeah. Sigh.
Gameplay would have been nice, especially since I know so little about Persona or the character.
Yeah, definitely. I'll probably end up getting the season pass just because, why not? If I have friends over, I want them to have access to the full roster and everything, and I'll want to try them out at least once or twice for sure. But I have basically zero familiarity with this character.
You are buttheads. Persona is awesome, and I'm super excited about Joker. Woo! It's great. That's one of the okay, on my Smash Brothers bingo card, I put Joker on it, and now I'm one away from winning. I just need Cosmos from Xenosaga.
There you go.
For a second, I was thinking you were going to say from Fairly Odd Parents, and I was going to tell you not to hold your breath.
Yeah, I'm going to win, guys. I'm totally going to win. Cosmo and Wanda.
So, Unravel 2 from, I forget the specific studio, but they are an EA company. That comes to Switch March 22nd. I ended up picking up the original game on PS4 last fall when it was on sale, and it was a charming little just puzzle platformer, and I thought it was fantastic, and so I don't know a lot about the sequel, but I'll probably pick that up at some point whenever it's out. And once again, I'm glad I held off on the PS4 version, because now I get it on Switch.
Yeah, for sure. That's one of the many games that falls into the category of like, oh, that's a really cute looking indie game that I don't have time to play. But,
Exactly, yeah.
It's it looks cool. I never played the first one. Maybe eventually I'll add it to the ever growing list. But as usual, like the more quality indies on Switch, the better. Make it an indie treasure trove.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how co-op would work for this franchise, since that's literally in the title. Unravel 2 TWO. But gameplay trailers have looked pretty good to me. So, and if I'm not mistaken, this might be the first non-FIFA EA release we've seen for Switch. So it'll be interesting to see if any more come on along down the line.
Yeah, hopefully it's not like a Trojan horse kind of thing. Microtransactions come to Switch thanks to this adorable game.
You play with a ball of yarn and suddenly they're charging your credit card.
Oh no. I won a loot box and I got a new color of yarn.
So, speaking of indie titles, one of my favorite announcements from the whole Direct is that the first chapter of Deltarune is coming to Switch.
Yes!
So, if any of our listeners aren't familiar with that, you've probably heard of Undertale, the sort of Earthbound-inspired RPG that captured the hearts of the internet. And that came to Switch a while back, and it's done really well on the platform. It's been very well received. And so last year, the creator, Toby Fox, he just dropped a download link one day with all kinds of cryptic nonsense about what it was, and then people opened it up and started playing it and found out that it was essentially a demo for a new game. And he's trying to build get together a development team to flesh that out from a demo into a full game, because he made Undertale almost completely alone. But his ambitions for the sequel, Deltarune, are too big. He says, I can't do it alone. It would take me just years and years and years. So he put this demo out for free as a means of just sort of getting the name out there and attracting, hopefully some funding and some developers to help him out and to help him make it. And now we find out Deltarune's coming to Switch. Deltarune's coming to PlayStation 4 a little later, I think. And the trailer ended by saying, the rest of the chapters are in development. So I don't know if if Nintendo or Sony or both threw some funding at him, or if he found a separate publisher that's just helping him, get his development team together. But apparently he's actively working on it, which is really, really good news to me, because I loved the demo. It's got me hooked, and I didn't want to wait 10 years for the follow-up.
Undertale is an objectively good game.
Yes.
Writing is objective, guys. Oh man. I loved Undertale. I cried at the end. And so Deltarune actually being made means a whole lot to me, and I'm super excited. It probably will be a little while before we see Chapter 2 or the rest of the game, but I'm waiting on bated breath.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that, two different first-party, console makers were willing to put what is just a demo on their platform, with no real fleshed out plans for a full release. That tells me they have a lot of confidence. So I'm hoping, again, that means that he's got his development team, or at least is in the process of building it and has some funding. Because, what he described in his blog post is basically, the demo's complete. Beyond that, I've written the plot, and I have some art, and that's it. He hadn't actually started developing the rest of the game. So, yeah, I'm hoping this means that, things are really looking up for it, because otherwise it would be strange to me to be like, hey, we're just gonna, put this demo on our store, even though there's no real plans for a follow-up.
For sure. I wasn't expecting any news on Deltarune for, at least a year, so this really came out of left field.
Yeah. And then sort of to celebrate it, Undertale is currently 33% off on Switch. So if you haven't played Undertale yet, absolutely should. It's a fantastic game. It's short, but it's got a lot of replay value, different endings, that sort of thing. And then if you enjoy it, or even if you don't, why not? Deltarune's free, so download that as well.
Yeah, if you hate Undertale, buy it twice.
Yes.
Toby Fox needs the money.
For sure. Another indie game that we didn't really get too much new for it, though, is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Got another trailer, and now it's got a summer launch window. But, it's had launch windows before and has suffered multiple delays. But summer's close enough that hopefully this time it's, for real. It's actually coming out this
I hope
summer.
so. Yeah. That's a game I hadn't paid much attention to until recently, but the gameplay we did see in the Direct I thought looked really solid. And as a Metroidvania fan, and someone who finally played Symphony of the Night in the last year at that, it finally has my attention. I think it looks cool.
Yeah, I've played a couple demos for it in the past, and it's, I tend more towards the Metroid than the Vania when it comes to the genre, and this is, very clearly a spiritual successor to Castlevania. But, I enjoyed what I played, so I think I'll probably pick it up.
I've been looking forward to this game because, after watching Castlevania on Netflix, I really wanted to get into the Castlevania series, but you can't really do that because they're not making anymore.
No, they totally made a pachinko machine a couple years back.
Oh, thank God, pachinko. I love pachinko. Anyway. But, Bloodstained, aesthetically, it speaks to me a lot because I love stained glass, and, it looks cool. And so, I was looking forward to this. I wanted to play it. I want to play it. I'm afraid because it's a kickstarted game by a famous Japanese developer who left the company.
What could possibly go
and
wrong?
last time that happened, we got burned by Mighty Number 9.
Yeah, for sure. But, like I said, I don't know if either of you guys have gotten to play any of the demos, but from what I've played, it's pretty good. It doesn't feel like Mighty Number 9 levels of disappointment and underwhelming.
Or
Okay, good.
ukulele, middle of the road. I guess we'll see.
Hey,
Yeah.
Why is ukulele a medium game? Because it's not rare and it's not well done.
Okay, that was actually pretty good.
That was a very taxing pun, Mark. Speaking of, did you guys play the Yoshi demo?
There it is. Yeah, actually, I did. I downloaded that just earlier today in preparation for this episode.
Yeah, I played it last night. I really liked it.
I haven't been the biggest fan of the Yoshi games for a while. I enjoyed the Super Nintendo Yoshi Island as a kid, but I haven't really been able to get into any of the follow-ups. And going back, I feel like the Super Nintendo one just didn't super age well. I don't know, it just handles a little weird to me. Mm-hmm. But actually, I enjoyed the demo quite a bit from what I played. But my concern is just that it was just a little pedestrian, and I don't know if I'll still enjoy it throughout the entire game experience, or if I'll get halfway through and just be like, yeah, I wish I hadn't spent $60 on this.
I feel the same way. I used to play a lot of Yoshi's Story when I was a little kid, and it frightened me because I was, a small child with a game that was vaguely dark in some ways for some reason. But I never really played more Yoshi. I did play a lot of Woolly World though, and it was fun enough, but it was also obviously a kind of a mindless game, not too much skill required. So I don't know if I would spend too much money on Crafted World.
Interesting.
Yeah, I dig the crafted aesthetic, and I liked, walking around in the little papercraft world. It was kind of cool how you're not just on a fully linear path. You can kind of go into the foreground and the background a bit. But yeah, I just the gameplay is it's a little slow, which is okay. It's nice to have a sort of relaxing game every now and then, but I don't know if I'm willing to pay, full price for a game like that. I don't know if it'll hold my attention all the way.
Where I differ a bit is I liked Woolly World a lot more than I thought I was going to. That is arguably my favorite Yoshi platformer, but it's been a while. I don't know if this will be as good, at least for me, but I think it does a better job of really leaning into its gimmick than Woolly World did. So I'm interested to see how, in what other ways they might flesh that out in the full game.
Yeah, in later levels and stuff. So one of the other big ones was Fire Emblem Three Houses. We finally got a release date for that, July 26th, which is unfortunately a delay since it was supposed to be a spring title. In fact, I think originally it was supposed to be a holiday 2018 title. Then it got pushed to spring and now July. But now that we have a concrete release date, that should be the end of the delays.
So basically your avatar this time is a young Dumbledore. Do I have that right?
I guess so.
Hopefully not, because apparently there is still going to be a romance aspect, so be a little bit of an ethical dilemma there.
Actually, it's about ethics in games
Whoops.
relationships, you guys.
No,
Oh,
stop.
Jesus.
Fire Emblem Gate.
I'm looking forward to this. I love the Fire Emblem games. Aesthetically speaking, it's cool. I like how you can pick one of the three houses, Mystic, Instinct, or Valor. And
Yeah, that's what it is.
yeah.
Hufflepuff.
You can pick Team 1, Team 2, or other. And I like how in this one, it looks like there aren't really character classes set for each character. You've got, a bunch of potential students who can learn how to, you can look at the one character and I want you to use a sword, or I want you to be a priest, or I want you to be a horseback riding priest, whatever. And I like how they don't force you to have a bunch of Pegasus Knights, because I hate the Pegasus Knights a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will have no Pegasus Knights in Fire Emblem Three Houses.
That will be your
I
loyalty
last
card.
tried
None.
a Fire Emblem game back on Game Boy Advance, I think. I didn't get very far into it because at the time the whole permadeath thing just really intimidated me. I know that's been optional since, I think, Awakening, but I feel like that would be, depending on your playstyle, that could be even more nerve-wracking because now it's your students and their blood is on your hands.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, I haven't played a lot of Fire Emblem games. Not really my style. But one thing that was impressed me about this trailer is, assuming that's actually like in-game cutscenes and whatnot, this looks like maybe a more cinematic experience than the previous ones. If you guys have played more of the 3DS, you could probably confirm or debunk this, but it seems like there's going to be more cutscenes and definitely higher quality cutscenes in this one.
Yeah, they didn't have too many cutscenes in the 3DS one because your character was fully customizable. Mm-hmm. So they kind of had to depend on in-game footage with dialogue, and then use cutscenes for special occasions. But since it looks like you're only going to be able to pick from one of two characters as your main dude, they're probably going to have a lot more actual cinematic cutscenes in this one.
Which I think they can do a lot more to make this story driven and to give it a more cohesive and emotionally invested story if they do that well.
Yeah. Especially since the story in Fates sucked. So
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go but up.
That's the one with Corrin, right?
Yeah, well, it's weird how they made Corrin for Smash Brothers, and Corrin never had a video game. It's so weird how Corrin was never in a video game other than Smash Brothers. That's so weird.
Very, very strange.
I do wonder if this means we can expect another Fire Emblem Avatar character as DLC, since that's been the trend.
Well, hopefully they wouldn't do the Avatar and they'd pick the Axe Girl, because there aren't any Axe
That'd be
characters
nice.
yet. But I know a lot of people are going to complain about too many Fire Emblem characters, and I'm just going to reap the benefits, because I love Fire Emblem.
I've actually been playing a little Ike recently. I never really played any of the Fire Emblem characters before, but
I like most of them. Robin has yet to click with me, but I enjoy... Ike was I've really liked Ike since Brawl, of course. And then Corrin, I thought, was the most unique we've seen in a while, so that was pretty cool. And technically, the only one Ultimate has added is Chrom, so maybe they're kind of bucking that rate a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Lucine is actually my main, so I'm looking forward to more Fire Emblem girls.
So another announcement we got is that Starlink Battle for Atlas, which is the Ubisoft game that is crossed over with Star Fox characters, that's going to be getting some new missions starring the Team Star Fox team in April. So I know, Will, I think you've been playing Starlink quite a bit, haven't you?
So far Fox has been the only playable Star Fox character in the Switch version, of course. But yeah, I think it's cool to see more content in that regard. I haven't beat the main campaign yet, but I did beat the Star Fox story where he basically chases Wolf around Atlas. And it's pretty short, but I was really impressed with that. And I'm not sure that this update from the Direct is really going to draw anyone else to Starlink who wasn't already interested in it, but this game, despite not really playing like a Star Fox game, definitely scratched that itch for me, so I'm excited to see more content in that regard.
Yeah, and I guess they're all getting their own separate missions, but then you can play through you can, as Peppy, you can play through like the other one's missions and through Star Fox's missions, so it gives you just a lot of replayability because the characters have like different specials and like a skill tree and stuff.
It really is a cool game in that regard. I would say that it's a good game in spite of Ubisoft's incessant monetization and kind of throwing that whole Toys to Life angle, which is optional, but the paid DLC is still kind of weird.
Man, they really missed the boat on that trend by 3 years.
Exactly, yeah.
So meme.
Basically, that's a really long story about like what edition you should buy, but I'll just give the short version. What I ended up doing was I waited for the digital deluxe edition to go on sale, which is normally an $80 value. I got it for no more than $60, I think, and that gives you all of the weapons, ships, and playable characters they have thus far. Otherwise, there's the digital starter pack, I think, which is currently on sale on the eShop as of this recording, I think. And that will probably give you a fair amount of content if you're really only interested in the Star Fox stuff. Otherwise, the retail starter pack is very slim on available content, and that can be, as I understand, that can be kind of a hassle because you aren't necessarily well equipped for specific enemy types when it comes to what elemental weapons you do have. So
now, are you able to then like unlock all that extra content through gameplay, or is that just
I don't think so. You would have to either buy the retail Toys to Life accessories, or they have various DLC packs in the eShop as well. So I would,
That's
so it's like I said, good game in spite of that, which is why I would recommend maybe just holding off for another digital deluxe sale, or just go with the basic digital pack, which still gives you more than the retail starter. So TLDR, do your homework if you're interested in the game.
So why is it called Starlink if it has Fox in it and not Link?
Because they're all gonna cross over into Smash Bros. Soon.
Do I have to use Toys to Life in Smash? Oh wait, no.
Absolutely. They're called Amiibo.
At least you tried.
So, speaking of flying around and shooting stuff, Daemon X Machina, that is officially confirmed for a summer release now. We got a new trailer, and then also Nintendo uploaded a demo to the eShop. Have you guys had a chance to try that one?
I did. I only played the tutorial mission so far, so I don't want to give any firm impressions since I can't really fully say yet as far as regular gameplay. But I had a lot of fun with the avatar customization, since that was probably about half the time I spent with it. And the gameplay, at least for literally the tutorial, seemed solid to me, and I'm looking forward to trying more of the demo, and we'll see how that goes. Because I thought it was very bold of them to put that at literally the beginning of their 3D Direct as well.
I'm bad. I not only don't I know, like, I haven't played the demo. I don't know anything about Daemon X Machina other than the fact it's mech. I feel like every time they have a trailer for it, I kind of like astral project away from my body, and then I instantly come back into my body once they go to the next trailer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the trailers have really been all that revealing other than just, giant robots going around and shooting each other.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's hard to tell, like, what there is in terms of, like, story depth to this or anything, but, you can try out the gameplay now thanks to the demo. So I gave it a go, like, right before we started recording. And it was okay. It was kind of cool to fly around in a giant robot suit and stuff, but I've been seeing a lot of people complain online that they thought it was too slow, and I think I agree with that. I think it felt a little slow and floaty. And then my main problem was I failed the tutorial because I went around and like blasted everything and I was all fine, but then I was apparently missing one enemy, and I had like 5 minutes left to go, and I just could not find it. I flew all over the map like repeatedly, and like I never saw it. It never shot at me. I was just like, what the heck? So I just wasted my last 5 minutes like flying around in this like wasteland trying to find an enemy that's apparently invisible.
Oh, that's the definition of anxiety, isn't it?
And the way the
boss music with no boss.
And the way the characters build up that tutorial, you just have to really feel lame for failing it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, oh, no one ever fails this.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They were pretty small and hard to see just with all those textures, so I was afraid that exactly that would happen to me, but I lucked out, apparently.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I think it'll be an okay game, but I don't think it's for me. This isn't one I see myself picking up. But I'm glad they put the demo out there, and, hopefully they can get a little feedback from fans and maybe tweak it, So we had a sort of a surprise announcement. I never heard any rumors or leaks about this or anything. I don't know if you guys did, but Nintendo's getting their own battle royale, and it's Tetris.
I had been wondering if that Tetris game for PS4 would come to Switch as opposed to this, but this is definitely a take I did not expect.
Have you guys had a chance to play it yet?
I have. It's a bad game because I can't win it.
Oh,
and it's bad because...
objective.
It's objectively bad because I'm bad at it. I couldn't get past top 20, and I just want to win it, guys. I just want to win it. I want to prove to everyone that I'm the best.
See, if it was Puyo Puyo, which is basically the same thing as Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, then I would definitely win all the time. But I'm not that great at Tetris. So I've only played it the one time, and I took 40th place or something. So which I guess isn't terrible for my first try, but. Yeah, it's a cool concept, and it's free to Switch Online users, so...
Yeah, it's hard, because, once you get to, the top 50, then you've got, 5 people aiming at you, trying to, mess you up, and then making all your blocks, just rise up, because they're giving garbage blocks once, oh, God.
I can just feel the anxiety coming off of you.
I played exactly one match and came in 42nd. Which, of course, as we all know, is the answer to everything. So, I am God now.
That's true.
Just anecdotally, though, I've heard a lot of people saying that this really seems to finally justify Switch Online for them, because it's a really fun, free game, so I can see where they're coming from.
And it's a new game instead of, it's sort of a new game, but instead of, Mario Brothers for the 30th time.
Well, once they have Mario Brothers Battle Royale, then we'll start talking.
Real talk, I have been curious for a while how Splatoon would handle a Battle Royale, but we can talk about that another time.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they haven't explored that yet, but we'll see. Maybe before the trend completely dies off. Alright, so another surprise announcement we got is that Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is coming to Switch sometime this spring, so pretty soon here. And that was another one where I hadn't really heard much in the way of rumors about this making its way to Switch, especially since I think Microsoft is now the parent company.
That's what I heard, yeah. But yeah, I've heard, I think, a couple of people on staff talking about that game, and I don't know a ton about it so far, but I'm told it has a really interesting mental health narrative, which is one of the reasons I really enjoyed Celeste last year, so I'll keep an eye on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. I've watched a little gameplay of it. From what I understand, the combat was kind of received, some people liked it, some people didn't like it, but people tended to really like the story and the puzzle-solving elements and everything like that, so it might be one I check out. I'll keep it on the list.
Word.
So another surprise reveal. This one really surprised. I'm amazed that we hadn't heard any peeps about this at all. Platinum Games has another game in development exclusively for Switch that isn't Bayonetta 3. So we didn't get the Bayonetta 3 trailer that some optimistic fools were hoping for, even though there's no chance of it coming this year.
I'm that optimistic fool.
But instead we got the reveal of Astral Chain, which is a sort of new futuristic game where you play as cyber cops basically, and it's Platinum, so it's fast-paced hack and slash gameplay. It looks pretty interesting.
I can't believe we got an AC trailer, guys. We finally got an AC trailer for the Switch.
Yeah, just the wrong AC.
Yeah.
Walls.
It looks neat. I'm still bitter that it's not Bayonetta 3, obviously, because I want that instead. But I might check this one out. It's fast paced. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's kind of weird because you've got this weird Knuckles Chaotix kind of gameplay where you are attached to someone and you kind of rope around people.
And I think the thing you're attached to, maybe it seems like it transforms because it's described in let me bring up the official description here. the thing you're chained to is described as a humanoid special weapon called Legion, and it looked like at one point like the playable character was like riding the other one as like a motorcycle, and then I think at one point it looked like an ant, like a wolf or something like that. So I'm wondering if they like sort of transform and do different special attacks based on what form.
I had been wondering, but just by the aesthetic, if there would be a co-op option or if that's even feasible.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It didn't, they didn't announce co-op play, but it's possible, that's still like a secret they have yet to reveal. So
yeah, I mean, if Platinum could shoehorn co-op into Star Fox Zero, why not, right?
Yeah, but they couldn't put co-op in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game
Ouch.
for some reason.
Or they couldn't make Star Fox Zero a good game.
Careful, we don't want to start a fight on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna drive 1,000,000 miles to get you and punch you.
Do a barrel roll.
I'm coming all the way from Ohio over to wherever the heck you are.
Alright, so then the last big story we had, now this is something that has been rumored for like years and years and years, but never with any real substance to it, nothing to show for it really. But Link's Awakening is getting a remake on Nintendo Switch. What do you guys think of our first look at it?
I love it. I think it's great.
I don't know if I've ever been like that moved by a Nintendo Direct before. So little backstory there. Link's Awakening was the second Zelda game I've ever played following Ocarina of Time, and it did come at an interesting time for me because my dad, who's a college professor, around that time got the invite to go teach a semester abroad in Italy with a handful of other professors from around the U.S. And so my family and we spent a whole semester there. But I was at an age where the idea of just uprooting and being away from friends for so long was pretty nerve-wracking. So as a surprise gift for the plane, they got me Link's Awakening DX, the Game Boy Color port. And so yeah, it was like me and Link were going on a crazy new adventure together.
Yeah, especially since he's like, far from home and meeting new friends and stuff in that game.
Oh, it's symbolic of your life.
The good news is our plane fared better than his ship.
Oh. Yeah, thank goodness. Yeah, so from what we've seen, it looks to be a fairly faithful recreation. Pretty close to like 1-to-1 for the tiles, but obviously it's it's got a new art style, which is a little divisive, I guess. I've seen some people hating on it, but I think I've seen more positivity than negativity. I'm a little iffy on it, like particularly the character models, but I think I'm gonna enjoy it. It kind of looks like it's sort of halfway in between like a clay animation and then like the sort of plastic or almost Lego look of Captain Toad. So I think it's pretty charming, and I think it's pretty fitting for a game that's spoilers is supposed to be in like a dreamland.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this idea of like Link kind of being dropped into this island toy set basically.
I would argue it's the most ambitious art change for Zelda we've seen since Wind Waker, and it's certainly, I think it's fitting for what is essentially the first 2D Zelda remake, not counting previous ports that were more basic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd say that the Wand of Gamelon is a lot more ambitious, but...
In a way.
No, yeah. Ambitious in a bad way. No, yeah, I agree. I think that it's good that Nintendo's taking a big jump in, like, the art style kind of risk. I remember how everyone was they just hated Toon Link and the Wind Waker style for, like, the first year that it was announced. And then suddenly everyone loved it. It's great. And I do love this like little toy soldier aesthetic that Link's got going on. I'm a little nervous that maybe the art style will make it hard to see what like characters and enemies are doing, if that makes sense. Like I won't know if like this character has his shield up or not because his arms are so small.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, but I think that it's a good art style for the story, and I think that Link's Awakening probably has, it's gonna be controversial, the best Zelda story. Because it's kind of just so tragic once you actually start thinking about it.
It's
yeah.
Talk about a tinfoil hat game, really. Like I was,
and I just love I just love Marin so much. She's my favorite, one of my favorite Nintendo characters, even maybe even video games in general.
With the updated like HD visuals as opposed to the real pixelated look, I think they can do a lot more to move us with the story. Even just like with the beginning, where we got that almost like anime style intro that was a remake of the original 8-bit intro with Link, crashing onto the island and everything. So they, it's got a great story to work with, and now they can bring that to life in a whole new way. And they can do that in terms of gameplay too, because it's a fantastic game, but it's it's dated. It's a Game Boy game from 20 plus years ago, and so they're able to take this great game and then modernize it a little bit with controls setups that are going to be a little more comfortable for modern gamers. Like I think, again, I was watching like a Game Explain clip, and I think they noticed that you don't have to like equip your sword and shield to like buttons like you did in the previous one. They're just like always equipped, and that doesn't take up your item slot. So just little things like that to modernize it and make it a less frustrating experience.
I think the fact that it's a remake of such an old 2D game and thus fairly non-controversial, I would say, definitely gives them a lot more creative freedom, such as the art style, which is a lot more out there for a Zelda game, kind of like what we saw from Paper Mario or Kirby Rainbow Curse on Wii U, that sort of thing.
I do hope, though, that they lengthen it, because like I'm going to get this game, I'll be very excited to get it, but I will feel a little miffed if I pay $60 for a game in 2019 that has the length of a Game Boy game.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard people talk about, there's the extra dungeon in the Game Boy Color version of the game. So hopefully they expand it a little more and give us more of a Koholint to explore. Or they could just, ditch the $60 price model. Like there's no reason that every major release has to be a $60 game. Like Captain Toad, I think, launched at $40, for example. So yeah, either make it bigger, make it cheaper, or preferably both.
Yeah.
All right, you guys have any other thoughts about Link's Awakening?
I think that's it. I fangirled over Marin, so that's...
Oh, yeah, listening to her sing Ballad of the Windfish at the end was just so haunting and beautiful.
Yeah. I love her. She's great. She should read everything. I want her in Smash.
Did you ever play her in Hyrule Warriors? She was pretty cool there.
She's my main!
Nice.
All right, well, I think that about does it. So thanks again for tuning in, everyone, and thank you guys for joining me on this episode.
I love being here.
Absolutely.
All right, so until next time, if you want to keep up with the rubbish I post, you can follow me on Twitter at Erimgard, ERIMGARD. Mark?
You can follow me at Mark Ryan Kelly, all one word, on Twitter, and I'll be tweeting a lot more because I have a big announcement to come that I can't really say just yet.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
And Will?
I am at Awk043 on Twitter. That's AWK043. I retweet a lot of gaming and angry at the world stuff.
All right, so until next time, thank you everyone for joining us and having a great time.
Bye.
Bye.
Laters.